Morphology of Indian cities. Due to industrial and political power, towns and cities in India converged. Indus Valley culture plays a vital role here. Towns and cities are different in character because of arid landscape. In particular town or a city, we will come across many focal points like market, railway station, bus stand, college, and residential areas. In India, cities are heterogeneous in population and they are not uniform in structure. Some cities are planned and some are not planned. The study of internal structure of Indian cities classified into three forms. The first one is layout, second one is demographic character, third one is function. The layout is a general form of city. It includes buildings, roads, markets, and other functions. Indian cities are not due to recent development. They are due to age-old culture and economic functions. Indian cities again divided into three categories according to their layout. Traditional cities, cities of British rule, cities after independence. Traditional cities are of India have three cultural impacts. The first cities are the capitals of Hindu kings surrounded by walls. In the center there was a royal palace. In the east there were Brahmins and high-ranking ministers. Further towards east, Kshatriyas were living. The Vaisyas, who were engaged in commerce and agriculture, were living in the south of the city. To the west of the city, the Sudras, the untouchables, were living. Pataliputra is the best example for this type of city. This is how the caste system in India developed by the basis of very old traditional cities. Temples and tanks were the nucleus of these cities. Brahmin priests and scholars built these houses around these temples. There were city walls also. These cities were due to the impact of Dravidian culture in South India. Madurai, Kanchipuram are the best example for this category. During Muslim rule, many cities were developed. Even today, many cities have imprint of Muslim culture like masjid, chowk, and bazaar. Muslim arches, vaults, domes, pillars, pyramid towers, etc. are significant characteristic of symbols of such cities. Agra, Bijapur, Fatehpur Sikri are good example for such cities. Though there was a great influence by Britishers on Indian cities, the effect of Indian tradition was also found in some cities. Rich people, kings, landlords, and high officials built special structures in the center of many cities. Palaces, mosques, temples were built in the central places of the cities, where the high ranking people were settled. Poor and low caste people were forced to live in the edge of the cities. Allahabad, Varanasi, Vijayawada, and Hyderabad are the good example for such cities. Pune, Mumbai, Kanpur, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, and Chennai have status of neighborhood at the periphery. The population concentration is highest in the cities like Kanpur and Varanasi. In Varanasi, the concentration of population is highest in the bank of Ganga river, where there are bathing ghats. To the north of the Varanasi city, the concentration gradually decreases. This is how the city is influencing the living people based on traditional character. In most of the cities discussed so far, Central Bazaar, the commercial heart of the city, is the area and in and around which population is highly concentrated. This area is now a nodal point of traffic and retail business activity. Away from this region, the density decreases. It is possible to analyze the demographic gradient in statistical terms by regression of the density with the distance from the model point of the city to the periphery. This is useful way of quantifying the overall spatial platform of population distribution and reducing them to general gradients. Thus, the density characteristic can be shown by the regression analysis, which shows a sharp decrease from core to the periphery. The density of the innermost wards of the continuing the focal point of trade in each city is invariably somewhat lower than the adjacent wards. This indicates that concentration of commercial land use has displaced or actually reduced the peak maximum residential concentration of the heart of the city. Thus, the density gradient calculated by distance implements tend to show corners curvature near the center of the city. In general, most of the Indian cities are characterized by negative exponential distance decay as seen with the Pune, Kanpur, Varanasi and Allahabad. There are, however, other patterns of population density unlike this typical spatial structure. One occurs in the three area port cities of Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai, and just like European CBDR grew up in the 19th century. The residential areas of the British officials and entrepreneurs and of the Indian employees were located the nodal points in the central business district in each of the cities is situated in an area of predominantly non-residential land use. These are just like all European cities and other cities of the world. This pattern can be recognized in Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai. Gradually, the population density in the city center is decreasing and increasing towards the periphery. This is because of the people wanted to live happily away from their working place of downtown region. Even in Kolkata also, the population density high in the core of the city. In the edge of the core, people concentration will be more. In suburbs, satellite towns, the concentration steeply decreases. There is a sharp peak from one nodal point to another in Kolkata metropolitan. In Greater Mumbai, also the municipal corporation includes most of the suburban areas in its central limits. From 2 to 3 nodal points, the typical gradient is found in Kolkata as Mumbai. Bangalore has also distinct growth like other cities in India. It has dual central places. Once the cantonment was very busy with indigenous background and the other core majestic also played the central place. Hence, today, Bangalore is a twin city with two nucleus of population concentration and two centuries of commercial activities. The chief twin of multinuclear patterns are found in Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Allahabad, Lucknow, Patna city. To every case, there is a separate military cantonment, civil lines, which gave rise to two or three nodals in the urban structures. Population has never as highly as concentrated in such urban areas, and tendencies towards diffused growth patterns have become evident in the recent decades. Planned urban development in the 20th century shows a different pattern, for example of Jamshedpur, Chandigarh and Bhubaneswar, a general downward gradient occurs towards the periphery of the city, but density of population is much less than in the cities previously discussed. Although the tendency for sprawl in modern metropolitan cities clearly exists, inadequate mass transportation and the sluggish development of infrastructures, public services and utilities limit the processes of expansion. The lack of concentration in urban centers and the comparatively slight development of fringe areas are two important features of country to density gradients and residential crowding. The lack of central services can be accounted for by the taste and traditions of the people whose requirements are met, by the low income of the vast majority of the inhabitants, by the development of separate business areas in the British built cantonments and civil stations, where the wealth become concentrated. Example, Connecticut Palace and Chandni Chowk in Delhi. Centrifugal force are relatively weak in Indian. For the same reason, the most urban dwellers have to walk or cycle for going to the place of work. However, dispersal of the industries in fringe area of large cities is leading to the change in the pattern with the expansion of the continuous built up area and subsequent formation of conurbation. Centrifugal force are bound to grow stronger in the future with the development of the country, of the city and mass city transport. This is being already witnessed in the metropolitan areas. Conclusion: Indian cities have developed over a long period of urbanization over long history. India underwent different phases of socio-cultural development. Each of these phases left an important one on the city, its layout, form, social structure and functional characteristics. Although rarely in some of the cities the imprint has been carried right through the present century, but in most of them the various imprints have been superimposed one over the other. Thus, the Dravidian style was superimposed the Muslim style, and other which was like a British style. Therefore, the present day's cities mostly represent an agglomeration of various impetus which has been further modified as by the introduction of planning. This leads to difficulty in drawing in any generalization. Thus, Indian cities are both traditional and English. So, there is difference in population between Indian and English cities. Many cities have good master plans. These cities have rapid growth of population and they are serving well to their local population. Many cities and their CBDs are not able to serve all the people. So, these cities expanded along with the services. Transportation and communication also expanded towards the periphery. Fringe areas undergone demographically along with all development. Suburbanization has very much helped by transport system. Telecom, internet, mobile services are also reduced in CBDs and extended towards the fringe of cities. At the same time, increasing literacy, housing awareness, economic compulsions will create more cosmopolitan class who will not need away affirmative environment and consequently reduced the ingredients of the ethnic cultural segregation in the city.